Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm full-sized Bill Tilley.
And I am Stretch Rob Strong.
Oh, love it. Right over the fence, another one sails. I got to keep getting seats in the outfield if I'm going to keep anywhere of my collection of dingers that Rob hits over me every week.
Hey, Bill, I don't know. I was going to say that, we get a little Elvis in the camera here if you're watching the video feed.
Wonderful reason to have the video feed to see the majesty of the king patrolling in the background, making sure nothing in here gets out of hand.
Oh, yeah. Itch yourself, buddy. Just have fun. And I was going to compliment you, though, Bill. I love the inflection going into this one. And I got to tell you, I was not looking forward to Dollman strictly because I was judging a book by its cover and name.
Oh,
what could Dollman be, right? And but I tried really hard to not look anything up about it, and I succeeded because I was blown away when the reveal happens. 20 minutes in, and I should have known better. If it's coming from Bill, it's got to be good. If past guest Frank likes it, it's got to be good.
I don't know. I can't always guarantee good, but hopefully I can guarantee.
How about fun?
Yeah, I can guarantee it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
I have enough ego to go with that.
Yeah. But man, when did you? We'll get to the back of the box, but I need to know some Dollman Bill history. When did this happen? When did Dollman enter your lexicon?
Oh, it's been a while. I'm sure I saw this movie in the video store, but I've been a longtime fan of Tim Thomerson's work. So just browsing through any of his stuff as over the years, you wander across. And it wasn't always the easiest stuff to find because Tim did so many of these straight to video movies. And if your video store didn't have them, you didn't get to see them. But Dollman was one I could get my hands on. And, it's him on the cover.
And then he squirms his way out because he's only 13 inches.
He's actually in each box. Yeah. You open it up. He acts the movie in front of you in micro size, and then he goes back in the box. So now I copied his entire IMDb list long ago, and my goal is to just check its way through. And this is when I got a copy of a good copy of not that long ago. So this was the perfect time to bring this one up. I had seen bits and pieces of it over the years, other full moon stuff. You see the little trailers and things like that. Plus, this is kind of reverse engineered for me. And I'll tell you what that means at the end. I'll save that one for our wrap up.
Well, should I read the back of the box?
Absolutely. You should read the back of this
box.
And make sure you don't miss any of the small type, Rob.
No, I've got my bifocals on to read this one. That's for sure. And of course, this back of the box comes from your salt mine, and you just so happen to have double. So you sent me Dollman with the alternate clothing, right? I don't get the true Dollman. I get fatigue Dollman.
Yeah, I sent it, but for some reason it passed through an energy band. I saw when you open it and it came out the size of an 8mm.
Yep. It was
movie
very
cassette.
odd.
But luckily you have an adapter and we're able to carry on.
Yes. Or you sent me the beta and it came to me as a VHS.
Ooh. There's some beta fans that would take great offense to that.
But the beta was bigger, right?
Beta was bigger.
Yeah.
Beta was bigger.
Yeah. Well, here we go. He's the toughest cop on planet Arturus, a fearless renegade. But when a high-speed space chase lands him in the middle of a gang war in the Bronx, Brick Bardo, Tim Thomerson, is in a class all his own. He's 13 inches tall and is armed with the deadliest weapon man has ever seen. As always, Brick has perfect timing. He lands just in time to save a streetwise woman from a scorching death at the hands of some drug thugs. She's Debbie Alejandro. Kamala Lopez. She's ruffled the feathers of the wrong people in her fight to clean up the neighborhood. Debbie takes Brick under her wing, and he joins her crusade to eliminate drug lord Braxton Red, Jackie Earl Haley. Now Brick is known as Dollman, a criminal's deadliest nightmare.
As much as I love the thought of that, I don't think he would be a criminal's deadliest nightmare.
No, especially with what happened to Dollman's arch nemesis. That's
a nightmare.
That was a nightmare, and pretty easy, given the right circumstances, to take out.
True. The back of the box on this one is pretty good. It's a little loose with the narrative. It's not quite what they make it out to be, in the sense of like he doesn't really plan to fight the drug lords and clean up the neighborhood. That's kind of an incidental thing. This movie's got an interesting tact with its storyline, which I'm sure that we'll get into our thoughts about that. But, now, Rob, I have a question before we get going on this one. Are you at all familiar in any way with Tim Thomerson's work outside of Trancers, or is he somebody that came to light from us doing this project?
He is someone who's I know only from Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.
Okay. So my goal of bringing that up is to all of our friends out there. Hey, man, talk movies with your friends.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows different stuff. So whether you wind up liking it or not, the best way to find out some cool stuff to try and probably get some hits is check it out, what your other friends like. See what they're into and give one a try every once in a while. You don't need a podcast to do it. You can certainly make one. Sure. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But one of the best things is just lobbing these over the fence into Rob's yard and him looking at it going, never heard of that.
Yeah.
But he's willing to give it a shot, just like I am with the horror stuff.
And more likely than not, your friend will respect you for it.
Or you'll get an interesting conversation out of it, which is also fun.
Yep. Now, I remember back in the day, it was like 2 years ago, but when I was doing Madrigal at the Movies, like I think I would have blown those gentlemen's minds if I would have presented a movie like Dollman to them.
I think you would have done that. I'm pretty sure other Rob would have met it with a certain amount of trepidation. I think Peter would have just laughed the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's like a certain level of film crit that happened in that discussion where a lot of times, like I love those guys, but a lot of times I'd be like, guys, sometimes you just got to have fun. Sometimes you just got to have fun watching these things.
Yeah, you got to be able to take the genre that you're messing around in and taking a look at. If you can't hang your hat on something like that, that's fine too. But I find it much more fulfilling as a movie fan to give a shot to all different kinds of stuff. Like, I don't have to swim in that pool all the time. Just like I'm not a horror movie guy, but I do love to mess with stuff every now and then that you're messing with because it's fun to talk about.
Yeah. Did you know Tim Thomerson was in an episode of Ally McBeal?
I did not know that. I knew he was in several episodes of The Golden Girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I can't imagine Tim Thomerson on an Ally McBeal episode. Wow.
Yeah. Let's see here. The episode is from season 2, episode 2. They eat horses, don't they? And the brief synopsis of the episode is Nell introduces the firm to Ling Wu, her main client. They are suing a sex talk radio host with a ridiculous lawsuit, but it's crazier that she might actually win and bring publicity to the firm. Richard's happy, but Allie just might find a way to undermine their own case. John is defending a restaurant who served horse meat, but his love for Mr. Ed has gotten him depressed and tongue-tied when it comes to Nell. Now, do we think Tim Thomerson is the sex talk radio host?
Please let that be true. That's what I'm going to throw my hat behind.
We are going to find this out. He played Mr. Daly, which they don't explain here. So, whatever. We'll have to go watch Ally McBeal, I guess, to figure that one out.
Yep. Let's just put it on the list for 2062 when we get around to that one. But I love seeing things that are out of that range of what I'm used to. Like I would watch an Ally McBeal episode, which I've never seen in one episode of the show, but I'd watch it to see Tim Thomerson on there. It's fun to have those kind of actors that you will sort of ride or die for no matter what you find them in. Like, even if you're like, oh my God, there's nothing about this I really want to check out. I am the guy that will be like, hold your nose and jump in, man. I got to see what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, should we hold our nose and jump into these segments?
We sure should. I think we should get into our first patented section where we've tried to dig up some facts about the movie that we just watched. And this time around, I'm calling this section, That's About the Size of It. So I think since I got to pick this line, I think I'm going to go first on this one, Rob. Got a great cast in this movie, and one of the people that's in this is Jackie Earle Haley.
Oh, yeah.
So Jackie Earle, kind of a legend amongst a lot of things. I think I first saw him in Damnation Alley with Jan Michael Vincent and George Peppard. So he was very young then, so I've got to see a lot of him over the years, and he plays Braxton Red, which you got to say, pretty cool name.
Oh, yeah.
For your
There's
villain.
great names in this.
It does. It sounds like I would say if he wasn't a drug lord, he'd be some kind of like Viking tycoon supervillain. That would be a good name for something like that. Who fell into like a Nordic volcano and got ice powers, which is completely backwards, but that's what these movies do. So he plays the drug lord leader in this, and in an interview with him, like, you see these movies and the first thing you kind of think of is full moon, low budget, cheap, whatever. Like we say, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's bad. And he really put in the effort behind the idea of, this is a guy that's down by society. He's caught in society's problems, and it's contributed to him being the person he is and the situation he's in, and kind of just being the terrible person from terrible consequences. And he wasn't going to do the part just by like, I'm just going to be bad for bad's sake, or, your typical B-movie bad guy who just comes on screen and just blusters and musters, and that's kind of off the thing. And I think it really comes through in his performance. Like, he is a guy, even back then, which is 1991 for this movie, like he's somebody you want to watch, and he's enjoyable to watch in this movie. And it's always great to see, an actor doing everything they can with the part that they've been given and not minimizing it just because it's a low budget movie. So I thought that was really cool of him to throw everything he had behind it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that obviously 1991, I'm going to pull up Jackie's IMDb. He did get his start doing stuff in the 70s, but he was a child for the most part. Bad News Bears, all that. And then in the 80s, he starts getting into some more television and some movies. And then it was like 1991, Dollman, right? I mean, he's not like, he's got a big resume, but not like huge films, right? So this is a big deal. Like, we have to remember that, like, being in something like this, it's a big deal. Like, after this, his next role is 1992. He does an episode of Renegade, which we love.
Perfect.
And then in 1992, he does two other movies. Maniac Cop 3, Badge of Silence, which is my favorite Maniac Cop movie, as everyone knows. Also stars Robert Davi. And Robert Davi wears a leather jacket and lights a cigarette with the burning arm of the Maniac Cop corpse at that part. And then does Nemesis, which is another Full Moon movie, right? Or Albert Pune movie.
With Tim Thomerson.
Tim Thomerson, exactly. So, like, he obviously was like, yeah, I like working with these people. But then noticeably, 1993, he does Prophet of Evil, the Ervil LeBaron story, which is a TV movie. 93. Then IMDb jumps to 2006 when he does Little Children. 93 to 2006. What's going on in that, like, 13-year gap or whatever?
That's weird.
Yeah.
When did Watchmen come out?
That was 2009.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's that long ago, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that wild?
What are the missing Haley years? Now I'm very, very curious about this. So,
because he's a great actor. Like, this is, yeah. And I'm gonna try and get to the bottom of this while we are doing this, but we'll get back to that because I've got a fun fact here, and it's that Albert Pune loves the name Brick Bardo, which is interesting because you would think the names are written by the writers, right? but Brick Bardo, the name, appears in at least 3 Albert Pyun movies. Cyborg and Radioactive Dreams, along with, of course, Dollman. So, I mean, it's a great name. It's no Braxton Red, but Brick Bardo.
But it almost has that like Adult Swim cartoon hero name. Like somebody would make that's just over the top type of stuff. But that's odd because I've seen Cyborg. It's been a long time, so I don't remember that name in there. But I'm interested by it because you kind of think that, yeah, we've made the Valverde jokes that's the place in the movies where they go, but that's a place. You don't really think of names being recycled a whole lot from movie to movie, especially somebody who does a lot of movies for the same type of studios in the same type of vein. But I don't know. I guess Albert Pyun just liked what he liked, and bless him for it. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, but and Jackie Earle. I was just going to say, Jackie Earle Haley moved to San Antonio during that time, and I guess did a lot of like commercial directing and stuff. So.
Gotcha. So he stepped out from in front of the camera to go behind it. Fair enough.
And then stepped back in and was old Freddy Krueger.
Not one I've seen. I don't know his performance. I only know what I've heard that you talk about on the hit horror movie podcast, Pumpkin Spice, where I get all of my horror movie history and
it's very important. That's for sure.
It is. It is indeed.
Well, Bill, what's your other fun fact?
Well, it also concerns Pyun. I found an interview that he'd done while he was making Dollman, and he said he found it very challenging to do a Lethal Weapon Terminator style crossover movie when your hero is only 13 inches tall. Like he's like, I want to do all the things that you come to expect from a movie like this, but how do you incorporate it into a movie where your hero is the size of basically a G.I. Joe? And so he's like, you do a lot of things without the star, which I guess he'd never done anything like that, which was pretty challenging. And, they did split screen, which we were all used to at this point, and they did some practical effects. But overall, it's like, well, I guess it's right. I can't really think of any other movies that are anywhere near this. I mean, you get Lethal Weapon, Space Cop, you switch positions for a movie like that, it's Terminator in the Old West, or you can do those kind of things, but you never like, oh, your hero's like, he doesn't come up to the knees of your main character. Yeah. How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Which is great. I think it's great. This movie is largely a cop movie. Even if you took the sci-fi elements out of it, it's like you can sign to see the by the numbers thing, but it's great to just do like a single what if. It's like, okay, what if he's just only 13 inches tall?
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah.
And that was a real fun part of this. Thomerson, on the other hand, he was great. He's just an actor's actor. He said that like he enjoyed all of it. He didn't have a problem with standing on an empty stage. He's like, I'm an actor. We pretend. Yeah. This is fun. Use your imagination. So he was down for it completely. So it was really interesting because it looks like all of them had a great time doing it. And I think that really makes your movie, whatever your movie is, it kind of comes through the camera. If everybody's having a good time and hamming it up, like, okay, this might not be an Oscar-worthy thing, but I'm not going to go away feeling like I didn't get filled up on movie goodness because the cast brought it, which was great, and so did the staff behind it.
Yeah, I'm just making a note to myself for later this episode. But Bill, I agree with everything you said, but I do find it interesting that in Germany, and I believe another country, this movie had to eliminate 30 seconds had to be cut from the film to get an R rating. And I know that probably means like 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there for gore or something. But I would love to know if it was like a full 30 seconds, like was it one scene where we're like, lose that 30 seconds. The guy says fat woman too many times. We need to.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about it, the only thing that springs to mind immediately is when Bardo has the first shootout before he leaves Arturus, and the one bad guy basically gets sort of pureed by his gun. Yeah. There is a lot of exploding pseudo meat parts in that scene, and he's kind of having a conversation with one of them who's just like in a bubbling pool of blood and meat with the head going while he smokes a cigarette. And I'm like, oh, maybe that was one where they might have had to crop in on that a little bit, because it looks like they spent a little money and a little time on that thing, and we don't get a real good look at it. So
yeah,
I'm going to put my Vegas odds that it was that scene. And if Rob ever, he just took his Columbo coat off when he told us what happened to Jackie Earle Haley, but if he ever puts it back on and finds out, my money's on that.
Yeah, but you'll bet your bottom. Well, they probably don't use dollars in ARTURUS, but
no, they use ionic molecules.
Yes, you bet your bottom ionic molecule.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, what do we got next on the docket?
So we're going to put on a happy face, a floating happy face in a chair, and we're going to talk about some of the things we really, really liked about this. And this title is in honor of apparently the medical science on ARTURUS, told to us by Stug when he says, they're doing some wonderful things. Yeah, I went first on the last one. You take this one first, Rob.
This has a wonderful rug pull. And if you are like me, like, the problem with Terminator 2 is that everything was ruined for people who saw the previews, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you see Terminator 1, he's the bad guy. Well, he's a good guy if you see the previews, but what a reveal that is in the movie if you had no idea Terminator 2 was, Arnold was coming back as the good guy. Well, I'm glad I avoided anything about Dollman, because when we see this like 20-minute opening segment where he stops a crime, he's going to do his colors in cold and set it on spin cycle and hang his pants out to dry so they don't shrink on him, whatever that scene was. Little does he know, everything shrinks. But or does it? Does it everything shrink? Or that's the big question. Anyway, the point is that we get this long sequence. He goes back to his concrete shack that he lives in.
He does live in like an abandoned meatpacking plant.
The refinery comes at the beginning. Very strange.
We always get refineries. Your refinery record is spotless.
It's wild. But he ends up getting in a chase with his arch nemesis. They hit some cosmic void. And Bill, I just finished Voyager, so I still don't remember maybe I should have watched it more thoroughly, but it was kind of like this. They hit something and they're being chased and they get back home and but no one goes back in time to say anyway.
Wouldn't it have been great if they'd ended when they come home and they're 13 inches tall?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
They put the rug back underneath.
Yes. But yeah, he lands, he gets out, and we get all these like establishing shots of New York. And we're like, okay, wow, stranger in a strange land. He's coming here. But he gets out and he's 13 inches tall. And I was like, Dollman, I get it.
I know. And it's so great that he gets out of his spaceship and he's standing there and all of a sudden he's in a world of giants and he's like really not phased at all.
No. He's like, giants.
I hate giants. Yeah. Like, where have you been? Where's Dollman been? Where he's been on another planet full of giants? I want the answers to that.
Yeah, I want that Dollman movie.
Yeah, seriously. I know. It's great when you're just like, oh, the title wasn't like a euphemism or anything. Yeah. This is real. So that's hilarious. I love it.
It's not like Dick Tracy where he's Dollman, see?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I liked, and it kind of goes across a few people, is Thompson's swagger, Frank Coulson's Sprug. Like, these are great characters. That Band does these wacky movies, but this is one of the things about Tim that I love so much. He just falls into this character, and you couldn't knock the cool off of him with a hammer when he plays his part. Like, he's a cop versus a head in a flying chair. Like, and he just never bats an eye. The whole thing is just normal to him because these are the things that happen and this is the world that he goes through. And it's so great. It is just amazing. Those first 20 minutes, are kind of my favorite part of the movie, because the world you glimpse at that these people live in is so much cooler than the part in the movies where, okay, well, now we're in present day and we're in Los Angeles. And don't get me wrong, I love an LA in present day, whatever that present day is. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted more of that part of the film. And that's a thing I liked because I liked it so much. And I love that I liked it so much that I'd like to see more of it, because outside of the recycled Buck Rogers footage, which hit me in the face as soon as I saw it, like, I'd love to see Band do more of this, because a planet where they spell laundromat with a Y, like, something's going on here. I need more of this. So that was just something. I loved it. And the swagger and everything that Coulson and Thompson bring carries on through the rest of the movie. And that's great because it really anchors it down. But boy, I want more of this whole, when they're rattling off their backstory about how Thompson's Dollman has just shot parts of him off and where he shot these parts off. That's a strange world. We don't really see that kind of stuff. So loved it. Loved it so much.
Pop quiz, Bill. What episode of Star Trek The Next Generation was Frank Coulson in?
Oh, you're catching me at a disadvantage, Rob. My brain's kind of pudding at the moment.
Well, no one's going to judge you. But would you like to know?
I do want to know.
He plays Gul Dalak in the Season 5, Episode 3, episode titled Ensign Row.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's there for the Cena drop, eh?
Yes.
Nice.
So Rob Adler, cue Ensign Row drop, and here we go. Ben and Adam have okay drops. They'll say it's fine.
Sure, no problem whatsoever. Yeah. That's great. I mean, he's got one of those faces that's made to be a Cardassian.
Yes, yes.
And in this one, oh boy, his head makeup, pretty awesome.
Oh,
gotta say,
so good.
It is so gross.
Yeah, and I love when Jackie Earle Haley like squashes him. You're like, oh yeah, he's that small. He's like there's a thing later. It's like size was an issue in this movie, Bill, but like
and throughout,
only because like I never did quite get a true grasp, except for them saying like he's 13 inches tall. You know?
Yeah. And it's so weird because when he gets squashed, apparently the head is the last part, but it's filled with like, I don't know, Alka-Seltzer?
Yeah.
He's bubbly on the inside.
He's very bubbly.
That was a shocking moment to see like what essentially was supposed to be like the main villain, and you're just over halfway through the movie and he gone.
Yeah. I watched this in 2 parts and I had to like go back and be like, oh yeah, the bad guy's like not the bad guy anymore.
It's a weird choice. It's a really weird choice. I don't know if maybe like they only had him contracted for so long or what was up with that, but that's a jarring moment in the movie, and a really nasty moment, especially because
that's the 30 seconds. That's the 30, you know.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. My other thing that I liked here, Bill, there's a lot to like. I'm going to put it out there, but you know, I got to call out an early 90s New York. Come on. Everyone thought it was when I moved to New York in 2015, 2016, I guarantee you my dad thought it was this New York.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, does everyone have guns and just gang wars left and right? Like, no, I had to avoid 5 strollers on my walk to the subway this morning from very nice looking people and who owned the buildings next to me.
Well, did they at least put some burning barrels out on the sidewalk for you to have to get by?
I had to walk a few blocks to get there, and it was really more of like a cosplay situation for young hipsters.
Here's a question. As a longtime New York native of that city, a longtime liver of that place, is the barrel capacity of a New York up to snuff for what the movie shows? Because movies seem to say that New York has a lot of 55-gallon drums that are just available to be used as burning barrels.
Here's the thing.
They're everywhere. Are they really? Were they in eyesight?
I think since this time, they've upgraded what the trash receptacles are in the city, right? It's more like there are barrels in certain areas, don't get me wrong, but there's also like standardized like metal mesh trash receptacles for people to do. But I could see a time when it's all just barrels, right? Like, why wouldn't it be? And because a lot of people don't realize, Bill, New York don't have alleyways. So there's no spots for like dumpsters.
What?
There's no like dumpster areas for restaurants. Like,
wow.
So when people are like, this city's full of trash, it's like, no, you're just walking down a block that it's trash day. Like the truck will be by in 20 minutes,
Wow.
Yeah.
That is enlightening because I was in New York City and for the only time in 1991. And the only thing I can attest to is there were that many high-waisted pants.
Yes.
And that is the sign of a 90s New York
versus
an 80s or a 70s New York. And you know what? Come to think of it, I could have been there at the time that this movie was taking place.
Well, I think I saw you in the background in one of the scenes.
I'd have been there in a minute. I'd have been there in a hot minute.
Well, did you have any other things that you liked about the film?
I do. And it kind of plays off everything we've already said, but the effort that goes into a Charles Band movie to make them interesting is awesome. That's where these movies and movies like we've seen before, like a Robo War and other things, when the effort is there, it elevates them. Like the technobabble in this movie. The money is molecular ions. And Dollman has a boomerang hand that brings his gun back to him when his palm glows, and it doesn't just wound people, it destroys the atomic matter of your body, and I can fix you with a sonic proton wash, and this bomb will blow up everything within 3 parsecs, which is a really big area, which they better hope isn't happening and does not happen. I'd like to call that out.
Yeah.
But all that stuff is just absolute gibberish. But it's so great when you hear it. It just clicks like, all right, you're just having... It doesn't matter that it's not real science. Yeah. It's just fun. Like there are background voices during the chase that gets Dollman and Sprug to Earth that kind of narrates what's happening up until the point where he gets to Earth. So you know what's going on, and it works in a way that probably shouldn't work for a lot of other movies. But that kind of stuff, the attitudes of all the actors, like I've mentioned, they're really taking the piss out of this movie and having a good time. Braxton Giddings mad because his pool table is ruined because somebody laid one of his bleeding henchmen on him. He's pissed, and he spends like 2 minutes on this whole idea of ruining his pool table. All that stuff plays together. It's fun to watch, and it really helps plug a lot of the, I'll say the letdown that a thin story like this could be. Like I've mentioned, it's not different from a lot of other space movies, cop movies, but it's these elements that poured into it are what make it interesting. And I love it. I love that they put this kind of effort towards it. Even when they miss, it's still usually pretty funny, and I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree with you. Like, you can make up for a lot in a film when you have a lot of other stuff, but like thoughtful stuff. And so whenever you can make up for a lot when you have a lot. No, I mean, like you can't just throw everything at the wall and be like, I got a movie. We watched Robo Vampire, a lot of stuff was thrown. In fact, a whole other movie was thrown into that movie. Didn't make
hopped into that movie.
Yes, exactly. Hopped into it until it got some like poetry taped to its forehead, and then it stopped hopping. But yeah, I'm right there with you. But Bill, we didn't like everything in the film.
Sadly, no. We never like everything. Nothing's perfect. And this is a section where we bring up a couple of those things that stood out to us. And for this movie, this section is called Somehow You'll F It Up. You always F it up.
Like, I'll go first, if that's cool with you.
Absolutely.
Because this goes along with what you were saying. The story could have been fleshed out a little bit more. Like, we have a bunch of elements that could have worked, but they almost threw so much into this movie. That's like, if we would have just simplified it a little bit, like eliminated a few scenes from where the main character, where she worked, not the main character, but the what's her name? Debbie. Yeah, where Debbie worked. We wouldn't really need that. We don't need to like live in the world of gang war New York. The initial scene when Dollman lands in the Bronx, like, we understand the world. We get this like long scene of the mayor talking to people in the darkest room possible about how they're going to fight crime. Like, we don't need that. I get it. There's crime in the city. We need to put an end to it. But those are things that like are trying to tell us something about the story that we can intuit by watching other scenes of stuff actually happening. Like, don't tell us the stuff that you're also going to show us.
Right. The idea for me would have been like if Sprug and Red had been more of a partnership, but they're both going to, they're going to take advantage of each other.
Yeah.
If he'd played off, giving them some more of his tech and what they would have done with it, or anything that would have brought the story up a level instead of just the back and forth between Debbie's apartment and, them yelling at her and her yelling at them and throwing some rocks, and that's kind of that. And then they walk around a little while, and then Dollman's kind of laying low for a decent chunk of the middle of the movie, just not really doing a lot while this other stuff's happening that happens 2 or 3 times. It would have been fine. If it just happened once, we'd have been good. And although I didn't need to see where Debbie worked at all, nothing, I had one question about, does she work in an actual nuclear waste?
Yeah.
Like, they ain't no dry cleaner, and they're talking about working with toxic waste and stuff. It's confusing. And
remember
weird.
toxic waste?
Remember when that was considered like one of the worst problems we could have? Yeah, I do. Simpler times. But I'm right there with you, Rob. Just like the front part, I'd love to have seen a little more going on and a little less just kind of going, uh-oh, gang, we're bad.
Yeah. Well, what about you? What's another thing then?
So we mentioned before that Sprug gets his head squashed by Braxton Red a little over halfway in this movie. And Bardo has been hanging out at Debbie's, waiting to figure out what he's going to do next. And so after Red squashes Sprug, he goes back to Debbie's apartment. There's a big deal. He kidnaps her. And at that point, it's all about getting her back. But Brick never mentions Sprug again for like the rest of the movie. Like we know he's gone.
Yeah, but how would he?
Brick doesn't know. So why does he just stop being a thing in the background? They don't mention it. There's no scene. There's no tie up of any of that where Red's like, I squished his little head or anything like that. It's just a weird story drop off where I don't know if they just they knew they weren't going to have him anymore for the rest of the movie, or did they make a conscious decision to make this more of a love story, which I don't think it is, but I don't know. That's the part that it's a hard cut for me, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's very odd because it feels like with just a little bit more thoughtful editing, this movie could have been like a little bit more thoughtful editing and a few more pickup shots. You could have really had Jackie Earle Haley get fed up with Sprug more towards the end of the movie and be like, you know what, I'm setting off this fucking bomb and squishing him,
Right, exactly. That would have been good.
But speaking of the bomb, Bill, this is something I disliked. Like, what's up with that bomb? I thought this bomb was like galaxy shattering.
This bomb is described, I wrote it down. Sprug says, push the button and everything within 3 parsecs will get sucked into another dimension.
How big? Do we know how big a parsec is?
It's big.
Yeah.
It's really big. This is a astronomical unit of space. Like, this is a giant section of way bigger than the 4.5 feet.
Yeah.
Then flashing light that this bomb goes off. So I caught that too, and I wondered if you would.
Yeah, because I wonder if like the idea is like, well, the bomb would have done that, except we went through a dimensional shift that this is the only thing I can think of. Like, in my mind, Brick Bardo didn't ever change size. Just on Arturus.
Right.
This is how big he is, and everything is relative to that, right?
That's my feeling too.
But this almost makes you think, and I don't think it works to scale, but it makes you think like, well, then maybe the thing they went through shrunk them, and so then this bomb's effect got shrunken. But that's me giving a lot to this film that I don't think it earns.
No, because even a shrunken 3 parsecs on an alien thing would still be the size of New York. And then that leads me to my question. what the hell was Braxton Red going to do with this bomb? He just mentions that he has a big bomb and he wants it, and he has no plan for it. He doesn't make a demand to the city or the president or anything.
He just gives it to the first bad guy he meets.
Yeah, and then just wants to set it off, but he's going to be standing there. So, yeah. And this is before he's injured or mortally wounded or any of that stuff. Yeah. So just weird. It's just weird, kind of a gobbledygook part that I think they just lost track of in the edit, I think.
Yeah. Because it really was like, I was waiting at the end. Like I was like, oh damn. Okay. This is like galaxy destroying.
Yeah. Cause I'm thinking if they're going to stick Bardo on Earth, if they'd said, all right, I got to stick it in my spaceship and shoot it off the planet before it goes off, and that's the only way, and now he's stuck here, that would have made sense to me, but it doesn't. It just happens, and then it's just like one big lens flare.
Yeah.
In the refinery, and nothing gets blown up.
Nothing. No one is affected by, I guess Jackie Earl Haley dies, but he was dying anyway.
I guess. It's weak.
Yeah, very weak. Well, is there anything else you disliked?
Yeah. At the beginning of the movie, when we're introduced, and there's the laundromat scene, and you mentioned Brick goes home to his weird cement-walled, floored apartment with one fan in it, and he's watching TV, which I paint the scene, Tim Thomerson in a dark building with one light watching a TV, and he's still got his sunglasses on. He never takes them off. It's so great.
And they do poke fun at that a little bit.
And they do. And the TV's talking about how he has gone rogue and how he somehow killed fractions of people. Like they say 3.6 people died. 1.4 of them were children. And Brick Bardo went on a murderous rampage. And that caught me completely off guard because we're told at the beginning of the movie he's on suspension for Dirty Harry-like actions, doing his job as a cop. He's too violent, blah, blah, blah. But then he's a crazed murderer. Who set this story up? Why is this story here? What does any of this mean? What was the point of doing any of that? It serves absolutely no purpose. And it comes out of left field completely as voiceover work. And he doesn't even blink at it. Like, I don't know if they were really trying to hype up the whole he's a rogue cop thing, but making him sound like Son of Sam was just really disheartening and weird. And I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah. It was very odd. But we can't change the past, man. You know, it's got to be, Dollman will forever be Dollman. And we have to live with it, imperfections and all.
This is true.
And that's what makes Dollman. Some people might say that, like, if everything was to our needs, then maybe if it's perfect, it's not perfect at all.
No. That is so a perfect fortune cookie. But it would be the world. It would be a small, like a 13-inch long fortune cookie string.
A Snackwell's fortune cookie.
Yeah. It comes in different parts. Like you have to collect all the words and then spell it out. Yes. That would be amazing.
That's great.
But even though there were things we didn't like, we were largely amused by Dollman. Then there has to be a few standout things. There always are for each one of us. And that's why we're going to transition into our patented Amusing Moments segment, which I have titled after a sentence I said while watching the movie that was immediately followed by a laugh. And it's called, That's Too Much Soap. And speaking as a man who takes constant grief from his wife about how he does the laundry, and I'm not a too much soap user, but I see in Brick Bardo the standard, apparently male wrongness, single man wrongness of how you do laundry. And I felt a moment of solidarity. So that's what this section's named.
I love
Let it be written, let it be so.
Of course. Do you have anything do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Oh, I'll start. There's so many. It was so difficult to bring down to one, but boy, howdy. This was a big one. And I just wrote the note, let's stay in the blood-soaked house. Braxton Red and his group come to Debbie's house to do another thing where they want to yell at her for some reason instead of just kill her or kidnap her at the moment, whatever. And Dollman be there and he not taking kindly to it. So he starts plugging away Braxton's boys and holy moly, do they blow big. There
blow
is some
so
serious splatter in this place. So they're all dead. They're done. Cut to the cops are just walking out the door. They leave. She gets to stay there. They don't get to go downtown, fill out reports. They've carried out all the bodies. The place is just soaked in blood. Just soaked in blood. She says, nah, well, time for bed, Kevin. Takes her 8-year-old son, puts him to bed. She's in the living room having a conversation like, dude, no, I don't care how broke you are. Find a Motel 6 for the night. This is disgusting. Nobody's going to do this.
It is unbelievably convenient for the movie.
Got the one set. We got to use it.
Yeah. I have a lot of amusing things about size, and I will try and lean away from like the gigantivism fetish that you can find on the internet from time to time. But I'm not convinced there weren't some really horny people making this movie. But the sizing of things in this movie is like what you find in, I haven't watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in a very long time. But I think that's about the only movie that does a decent job of consistent sizing, right? The Cheerios, the blades of grass, the yada, yada, yada. But in this, it's like Brick Bardo will walk next to a bottle of Coca-Cola that's on the ground that like goes up to his hip. And then I'm like, well, but now you're next to like a tire that's like the size of a building. I don't know exactly. Like there were some inconsistencies, and I understand it's tough. This is a low budget movie, but that was something that I always found funny. Was like trying to like, how tall are you, Brick? Like you say 13, but like, what is your size here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's ever more appropriate than when we do get to see him at the end of my amusing moment that I will say now, which is, boy, when Debbie gets kidnapped from out in front of the apartment by Red and the boys, there's the big hullabaloo upstairs. For some reason, the neighbor decides to come in and tell 8-year-old Kevin, your mom's being abducted by the drug lords. Like, she doesn't go to the cops or the phone. Make sure to run into the room with the kid. Bardo takes a running leap and shoots himself out the window. And as he's flying out into space towards the car, he lifts his sunglasses.
Oh, yes.
To see where he's going to land. In midair, they cut to it and they cut back. And he's just got this look on his face that is just so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to lift him just long enough to make sure I land. And he puts him back down. And he lands on the car, which later drives away. And we get to see an actual doll man taped to the side of this car.
Oh.
It was the moment I had waited for and wanted to see more of, combined with a moment I didn't know I was going to get. But him flying through the air and being like so cool for school that I can only tip my glasses up right now. I'm not going to take them all the way off. That's crazy.
That was crazy.
Great. Just Tim Thomerson moment. Very few people could replicate.
Yeah. There's a few other things, Bill, but I'll just save it to one because I know you got another one. But like, you talk about the people running into the house. This is a two-parter for me. Why are so many people running into her house and finding out she has an alien living there? Why do you feel like this is something like, I get community, I get living in a busy building, but like, I think if I have an alien living in my house, I probably am going to need to keep it a secret for at least a week. I need to figure out what's going on. But she's just going to work and gabbing about it. It's a little wild.
Yeah.
And then also at the end of the movie, this is a big one to me. This is one where like people needed to really point this out. He goes, size doesn't count, as his like end catchphrase. But isn't the phrase, because the full sentence is, are you still going to tell me, Debbie, that size doesn't count? And I get what he's saying, but isn't the phrase, size doesn't matter?
Yes.
So Because size doesn't count doesn't mean the same thing as size doesn't matter. In the innuendo, in the straightforwardness, in anything.
Yeah, it clangs because it's not the one we know.
Yeah, very
It's
odd.
just weird.
And
It's
I
just
wonder if
very
that's
weird.
just a 1990s, like where, like people use the phrase resting bitch face, right? But the first time it's ever used on Bravo, it was Andy Cohen saying bitch resting face. And so, these phrases evolve over time.
I think we'll now name this Cohen disease when they get the thing backwards. But yeah, that was weird. I caught that too. Or let's face it, when you live in a world of movie taglines, when they miss the obvious pun, you're just going like, whoa, movie. You need to back up and learn your trope role.
Very odd. Very odd. But I just so much going on here. I had to just lump those in together. But
that works great. Yeah. And I had, in that same token, I saw those things too. Yeah. Why does Debbie jump Kevin's ass for telling his friends when she does the same thing? On the same thought, my honorable mention, I had to do this. They've got bricks shipped in this apartment, and not a small thing. Like, this is the size of a large model. Takes up a coffee table size amount of space. Easy.
This is an $800 Lego set.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to throw this off the stage. This one cost you too much. And, they're looking for him. The bad guys are looking for him. Why would you break into a one-room apartment looking for an alien and not immediately notice the large $800 Lego set spaceship that is, a foot and a half in front of you? They're wandering around inside there going, where is he, Debbie? Where is he? And
where's
she's like,
the alien?
I don't know.
Is it in this this odd piece of furniture that looks like a spaceship? No.
Which they've never seen before, but it's clearly what it is until Luis Contreras looks down and goes, hey,
there's a Dollman in here.
Dude, he's not that small. He's not microscopic. So clearly Red and the boys, I don't know. Maybe their drug of choice should have been, something that fixed their eyesight. One of those over-the-counter deals. They needed some more keratin. That's what they really need.
Yes. Well, Bill, you know what we need more of? Rating of this movie.
Absolutely. Nothing better than rating things. That's what our world is based upon now. And we have a rating system, which I'm very fond of because I think it's kind of cool and nice. We call it 5 Nights for $1. This is the part of the show where we rate the movie we just watched, and we don't think about it in terms of other movies like it or things in the series, prequels, sequels, nothing. Not even this own series of Macho Cheese, which we are into. We don't compare it to there. We only think about the movie we just watched. And if you'd gone to your video store once upon a time, there might be a rack of movies somewhere around there that would say something like 5 Nights for $1. You give them $1, you keep it for one night, keep it for 5 nights. Up to you, depending on what you thought of it. So we are at that point. This is Dollman from 1991, and we get to say, now that we've thrown our 4 quarters into the cash register of joy that was our local video store, walked out with Dollman. Rob's got it for the first time. The VCR's just finished turning. The green glow of the LCD display still warm in his eyes. Rob, how many of these 5 nights are you going to consider or actually keep Dollman?
It's interesting, Bill, because there's a weird way we take these movies where sometimes a low score or a low amount of nights is actually a good thing because you want to experience more like it, and you're eager to get back to the video store. Not often do we have that twang, but that is a way to look at it. But I think there's so much to Dollman, because I have to think the VHS also comes with stay tuned after the credits for an interview with Dollman, Tim Thomerson, that I feel like I would want to keep this for multiple nights. I would want to watch this. I would want to show people. And I really feel like I would have gotten my money's worth. So I think Dollman is going to get a 3-night rating from me. I'd stay in the whole weekend. How about you?
Nice. That's a good holiday weekend. Yeah. One way or the other. I'm going to come right on top of your rating with the same rating. I'm at 3. one spectacular first viewing. Probably going to spend the rest of day 2 yammering to my friends about this fun movie that I watched. I'm going to spread the word on day 2. Day 3, I'm probably going to hit it up again because it's the kind of movie at the size and the time that you can just be like, I'm hungry for a little more Dollman. I need just a little more of this world, which I watched a little more of it before we came on the air today. So 3 nights, 2 viewings, and the promise of going to be scouring the video store, hoping to see another one of those coming soon posters on the wall where Dollman returns. And just to let you in on the future past of the world, everybody, Dollman did return.
Oh, yes.
In a couple of ways.
Yes.
Dollman returned in one very specific way that I am going to pitch as a future Pumpkin Spice episode.
Ooh.
Because it's a crossover movie with a little franchise called Demonic Toys. And Rob, I don't know if you knew they made this movie.
I did see that afterwards.
I bought this movie on hard copy not that long ago with the express intent of pushing my way into your other show and inserting my will to see 13 inches of Tim Thomerson, which in this case is all of them. Get your mind out of the gutter. Take on a bunch of weird looking dolls because I don't like dolls. My mom collected them and they freak me out. And nobody's going to be able to erase some of my childhood scars like Brick Bardo would.
Wow.
So, yeah, 3 nights. And you know what? Anybody out there, you want to keep it for 5, video store's not going to complain.
No.
It's a great little movie.
Yep.
It's awesome.
And, we would like to know your star rating for Dollman. So leave it in the comments on Patreon because Patreon is the only way you're listening to this episode unless I break it out to entice. Bill, patreon.com/BillAndRobs, BillAndRobs.com. Share this episode with a friend. Listeners, I promise you it's worth it. Bill, I'm having a blast. I'm looking forward. What's next on the docket for Macho Cheese?
Well, gosh, let's see here. I believe that we're going to take a little trip farther back in time for the next one. This is a movie I have not gotten to see.
Ooh.
It felt like the perfect time to put it on the list. It's one that's been out there for my to watch for a while. It is 1985's Gymkata.
Wonderful.
Martial arts.
Yes, I have seen it, but it's been a while.
Oh, you have seen it. All right, so we're going to be coming at this from opposite ends this time. You've seen it, I haven't, so that'll be fun.
It'll be a blast, and we got to thank Rob Adler, who makes these episodes a blast to listen to and consume and do over and over and over again. So everyone, join the Patreon. I know you're already here because you're listening to it. But tell a friend to join the Patreon so that we can keep Rob Adler afloat in the business of editing. And I think that's good, Bill. I'm excited for next week to get Gymkata in our system. Next time we record, to get Gymkata in our system.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a real kick.
Okay. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.